You walk in the door after a full day. You're already tired, and just as you set your bag down, your phone buzzes. It's a message from a colleague. It could be a question or a comment with a certain tone to it. You feel that pull to respond and try to get it just right, where you're clear, professional, not misinterpreted. And you adjust it and wonder, am I overthinking this? But you send it anyway. And still something feels off. If you've ever noticed yourself caught in overthinking as a physician mom, you know exactly this feeling. Later that night, it could be back in your mind what you said, what they meant, what they might be thinking, trying to manage how your message was received, trying to control something that isn't fully yours to control. And then it hits you. This isn't working anymore. Today, I'm talking about that moment and how to shift out of trying to control everything and back into what is yours to hold. Find the full transcript and bonus resources at inspiredmomMDs.com/95. Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Inspired Mom MDs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Cindy Van Prague. I help physician moms take back control of their time and energy so they can prioritize what matters most and thrive at work and at home. In each episode, I bring you honest conversations, inspiring stories, and practical strategies, including interviews with incredible women who are redefining success on their own terms. Let's listen in. There's a moment many physician moms don't talk about, and it feels easier not to, honestly. This is the nearly universal moment when something you've always relied on, such as your way of coping, managing, pushing through, just stops working. But instead of stopping, you double down and push harder because that's what has served you in training and practice. It can look kind of small from the outside. You're maybe standing in the kitchen after a long day. Your child is upset about something that feels minor, and you can feel it rising in you, that urgency to fix their problem. You want to solve it and keep moving. And you try explaining and redirecting and negotiating, but somehow the interaction with your kid escalates. Or maybe it's quieter than that. Maybe it's a mental loop that runs in your brain at night, where you replay a conversation, where you try to control how someone else sees you or rewrite what you should have said. This is often what overthinking as a physician mom looks like in real time. Or maybe it's your schedule. You keep trying to optimize it. If you just wake up earlier or be more efficient, try harder, and yet you still feel behind and stretched thin, like you're missing something. This is when you can start to notice that inner thought, the one that doesn't mince words, that says, this isn't working anymore. Noticing that thought doesn't mean you listen to it, at least not at first. So you push harder because that's what's always worked before. It's like instinct. And this is the part that's an eye-opener. Physicians are trained to persist and problem solve, to find a way forward. So when something stops working, the instinct isn't necessarily to pause, it's to try harder, to tighten your grip, to believe that success is just one more adjustment away. But sometimes the problem isn't effort. Physicians have an A+ in effort, am I right? The problem is which direction they push their effort. I want to step back a moment to clarify what I mean by direction. So imagine you're sitting at a desk and your role is now as an advisor or a trusted friend, not as the person living through the situation. You are now the one observing the situation. And again, that can be maybe overthinking in the middle of the night, that escalating frustration with your kid, or that text to your colleague. On a blank page, you draw a simple line down the middle. On one side, list everything you can control about your situation. These are things like your words, your tone of voice, your focus, your effort, your decisions. On the other side of the paper, list everything you cannot control. These are other people's reactions, your child's emotions, how quickly things change, and how others perceive outcomes. And then ask yourself, where has your mind been spending its energy? Are you managing others' reactions to you, or are you managing your own tone and reactions? Because for most of us, we're pouring energy into that side we can't control. We're trying to manage outcomes. We're trying to shape people's reactions. We're trying to create certainty where there isn't any. And that's the moment. That's the moment when you realize that it's not just that this isn't working, it's that it can't work this way. And this is where the ray of clarity starts to shine. You can't control what you can't control. You can let go of what was never yours to carry. You don't have to control the outcome to show up well. You don't have to fix everything to be effective. You don't have to keep using a strategy that's draining you just because it used to work. And this is the pivot. Not necessarily a dramatic life change, but a shift where your energy goes. This can be a 1-degree change in a direction that over time changes the trajectory of your energy. This isn't a mindset you decide just once and suddenly life is perfect, especially if you're used to overthinking. It's something you practice in moments. It starts when you catch those moments, the ones that are so easy to just move past. It's that moment right before you explain again in a text or email. It's that moment when that mental loop starts to replay as you're laying in bed trying to sleep at night. Instead of moving forward automatically, pause. It can be brief and imperfect, but it's still a pause. Just enough to ask yourself one question. What part of this situation is actually mine to hold? And what part can I let go? Answer yourself honestly, not what you aspire to do or what you should ideally do. Maybe in that moment with your kid, what's yours to hold is your tone of voice, not their reaction or how quickly they calm down, just your tone. Maybe in that mental replay, what's yours is your attention, not the details of that past conversation, not how you imagine what the other person said. You can control your attention about focusing on this loop. Maybe with your schedule, what's yours is one decision, not the entire system, not fixing that entire system at once, just the one next choice in front of you. This way of thinking disrupts the pattern of overdrive and the push for performance. It may feel awkward or unfamiliar at first, and that's okay. Just stay with what is yours to hold. That's the shift. Not controlling less because you've given up focusing your energy. It's focusing your energy in a direction that makes an impact. And if that still feels big, just make it smaller. Choose one moment that doesn't have any emotional weight tied to it. For example, if you're deciding what to wear in the morning or what to make for dinner, notice the urge to overthink it or try to optimize it. And instead of engaging with that pull, just choose and move on. That's the practice. Noticing when your mind starts to reach for control and gently redirecting your attention back to what's actually yours to decide. Just one moment like that is enough to begin. That moment, the one where you realize this isn't working anymore, is not failure, it's awareness. And awareness is what makes change possible. It's the moment you step out of autopilot, the moment you stop trying to force something that isn't responding the way it used to, the moment you begin to see, maybe for the first time, where your energy has been going and what it's been costing you. For me, this kind of clarity is a real aha moment because once I see it, I can't unsee it. I'm working on my own awareness too, for sure, and most definitely am a work in progress. But it gets easier with practice, which makes these small changes in how I show up with my work and my kids and myself a little bit easier. So I will leave you with this today. What are you still trying to make work that no longer fits? And what might shift if you allowed yourself to stop forcing it? Just one small imperfect step at a time. Just enough to make your 1-degree pivot today, one that can change your trajectory. If this resonates, this is exactly the work I do with physician moms. I help them reclaim energy that's been tied up in what they can't control and redirect it towards what actually moves your life. If you're ready to explore what that could look like for you, I'd love to connect. You can visit my website, inspiredmommds.com, and reach out to schedule a call, and we can take that next step together. Don't forget to join me next week for another dose of support and inspiration. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of those who matter most. Remember, it's time to take control and thrive. Thank you for tuning in today to Inspired Mom MDs. If this episode resonates with you, please share with a friend who may benefit too. And I humbly ask you to please leave a review so other Dr. Moms can find me too. And just a quick reminder, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for medical advice or care. I'm a board-certified physician, but this content isn't connected to my clinical practice and no doctor-patient relationship is formed here. Please always talk to your own health professional about any mental or physical health concerns. Please see inspiredmommds.com for full disclaimer.